oh shit, he had got COVID. And then what's up, Grandparentsday Nation? Welcome back or welcome to my channel. It's your girl Kdreamzherself, and I'm back with another lit video. You already know that it is like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And once y'all notice by that title, y'all probably read that my grandfather got COVID. Okay, so originally we did not know that it was COVID at all. He was rushed to the hospital because originally the night before he had not eaten anything, and then that morning he woke up, he wanted eggs and he wanted turkey bacon. And so like my grandma and my auntie went to go make him his food, and he said, I'm about to go to the restroom, and in the midst of him going to the restroom, he fell in front of the TV. Like he fell, but did nobody hear it. When he falls, he doesn't really make a noise. Like he be falling like hard, but he don't make a noise. And so he fell back in his chair. His chair. Okay, so this is his chair, not that far from his TV, and his TV is like right here with a big like surround TV or whatever the case it might be. It's a big TV with his chair right here. Okay, so as my auntie explained to me, because I live 3 hours away from him, so as my auntie explained to me that he fell back into his chair, kind of, and it was like the ambulance said it was like he had a mini stroke. And I feel like what made him have a stroke is because he didn't eat the night before. And my grandpa, he cannot not eat the night before because he has diabetes and all of that stuff. So I don't know what made him say he wasn't hungry, but my grandpa is a stubborn type. So if he's saying I'm hungry, he's not gonna eat, nothing like that. So they wake up the next morning, and my auntie is like, Papa's been in there a little too long. So they noticed that he didn't even make it to the restroom. Like he said to my grandma, baby, I gotta go to the restroom. But he didn't even make it to the restroom. I guess as soon as they went into the kitchen, he had fell out, because as soon as he really didn't get that far, because okay, this is his bed and his chair is not that far from his bed. So me not being there, kind of thinking what happened, he probably got up out of his bed, and as he was probably about to put on his clothes, because my papa would put on his clothes or put on some pajamas or something before he goes to the restroom. So I'm guessing he was about to put on his clothes and he fell back. Like that's how I'm guessing it happened. Okay, so the ambulance come. They take him, they say my grandma can't ride, so my grandma gets in the car with my auntie, not my auntie, my cousin, and they go to the hospital. So I get a call by like 10 or 11 o'clock that say, oh, I wanted to tell you first, because I know that you would want to know and be mad if did nobody tell you, but Papa's in the hospital. And you know me, I'm so dang emotional that I'm not even knowing what's really going on. Like even though it's serious, but about my papa, I will lose my mind. So like I'm glad they called me. But okay, so the whole day my auntie's like telling me what happened. My cousin go to the hospital, and like my grandpa, he's so freaking stubborn. He's so freaking stubborn. So the ladies at the nurses, either the nurse or the doctor asked him, what's your name? What's your birthday? He would not say nothing. In the midst of him telling me that my grandpa is in the hospital, I just started crying. I am at work, mind you. I'm at work. I had opened up the store maybe like an hour, not even an hour. I opened up the store like 30, 40 minutes before they called me. And my auntie is like telling me that your papa just fell out. We don't really know what it is. The ambulance said he had a mini stroke, but we don't really know. Last night I told him to eat, and he was just like, I'm not hungry. And she had made like some squash and maybe some fish or something like that, some type of meat. And she was like, he just said he wasn't hungry, and like we all said, they probably should have took him to the hospital. This happened yesterday. Today is January 26th, so it happened January 25th. And you know, my birthday was January 23rd, and I talked to him on January 23rd, and he was okay. So I'm guessing that whatever happened on January 24th, and didn't nobody just catch it. Because when I talked to him, he was okay. He was laying in the bed, he was laughing with my son, everything like that. But I'm guessing on January 24th, he just wasn't feeling it. So he's at the hospital, and they asked him questions like, I was like, y'all asking the wrong question. asked him who his wife is. Cause my papa, when I say his love for my grandma was so freaking strong, his love for my grandma was so freaking strong. So I was like, stop asking me questions like that. Ask him a question about who his wife is. And like for the doctor, he was being so stubborn, he would not talk to them. He was like, he just said, oh shit. Like my grandpa, when he don't want to answer something, he was like, oh shit. Like he was just, and then my cousin walked in the room and she was like, Papa, what's your birthday? And he said, November 24th, 39. Boom. Papa, they asked again, what year was you born? He said 39, of course. And then it was like, what's your name? He was like, Leon J. I'm gonna just not say my girlfriend's whole name, but he was like Leon J. And they were like, and I was like, y'all asking the wrong question. Ask me what's his wife's name. He didn't say her name, but he said there she go right there. And the fact that he could tell who my grandma was, that just showed me enough that he wasn't like bad off. But as we're going through all of this, they say, I'm like, Papa, do you know who I am? They was like, Lily on the phone. I'm like, hey, Papa. And he was like, who is that? And they was like, Lily. And I was like, hey, Papa. He's like, hey, baby. And y'all know, me and my Papa are very close. He was like, I was like, are you okay? Are you feeling hurt or anything like that? He was like, no. He was like, I really just want to go home. And I was like, Papa, don't talk too much, because his voice was kind of raspy. It was kind of like it was hurting him to talk. So I was like, Papa, don't talk. It's okay. And then I get a call. I think it was this morning or last night. No, I got a call this morning. I get a call this morning. Then my grandpa, he had got COVID, and that everybody had to leave, and they were like, my grandma was crying, so my grandma and my grandpa was crying because they didn't want to leave each other. And if you don't know, my grandma and grandpa, they've been married 50 years. They've been together maybe a year or two before that, so like 51, 52 years, and they're about to celebrate 51 years this year. So like 52, 53 years. And so like they don't ever be apart. Like every time my grandfather goes to the hospital, my grandma goes with him. So this is the very first time that my grandma and my grandpa don't get to be together. Like my grandma, I watched her lay in the bed like by herself, and she was just like, okay, so my grandpa, he sleeps closer to the window, and my grandma sleeps this way. Usually my grandma turns this way. Like when my grandpa is in the bed, she turns this way. But since he's been in the hospital, she slept close to his side of the bed and was just sitting there. Like she wasn't doing nothing, she wasn't getting up. And if y'all don't know, my grandma and grandpa, we all get up early. So for my grandma to still be laying in the bed, it's kind of odd. But she usually, okay, so when she wakes up every morning, she looks over at my grandpa. And of course this morning, she couldn't look over at him. And yesterday was the last day that they spent together because they put her out of the room yesterday. So last night she had to sleep by herself, she had to go home. And they made her cry because of course she doesn't want to leave her husband. Like who wants to leave her husband? Somebody she spent her whole life with. So they made my grandma leave. I talked to my grandma this morning and she was just like, I'm okay. And we did a prayer. And my grandma was just like, I'm okay. So I'm guessing my grandma just like, she's always like the strong person in our family. So like when all of us are like not really doing very well, she's the person we call on. But I just feel like with like COVID and everything, I feel like my grandpa really just, it was something to do with diabetes, and I just feel like the hospital kind of like try to make it feel like it's COVID, because my grandpa doesn't go anywhere. Like we don't even let him go out of the house. Like he's always in the house. And my grandpa is like, okay, so my grandpa has his diabetes problem. My grandpa is healthy. Like he's 83 years old this year. And my grandpa don't have like that many problems. He's not the type to go to the hospital. He's not the type for none of that. Like my grandpa is healthier than my grandma. My grandma is the one that we go to the hospital for every single month. My grandpa, he don't go to the hospital. But they were just telling my grandma that she needs to go, before you come home, she needs to go get her vaccine and get tested. And my grandma, as they were saying, once they found out he had COVID, they was like, throw away your drink. And my grandma said no. And because my grandma had just drunk out of the drink, and the fact that she had to leave her husband there, she was like, no. Like, and I don't blame her, because like, I don't care. We sit in the same bed, we made vows. I don't care about what you have. I said sickness and health, and I feel like that's what my grandma was saying, in sickness and health. And that's still her husband. So like, they were telling her she had to go, and my grandpa didn't want her to leave, and she didn't want to leave. So I feel like my grandma was just being tough for us, but I feel like really deep down, the fact that she had to leave my grandpa was not the easiest for her. There's no my grandma without my grandpa, and there's no us without my grandpa, because they're like the root of our family. They are what grows this family. So you hear so many stories about COVID this, COVID that, but I didn't really understand COVID until my grandfather got COVID, because like I've had like some of my family members died from COVID, but like we were close, but we weren't close like me and my grandpa. Like me and my grandpa, like that's my ride or die. That's I will let somebody else about my grandpa. So for him to get COVID, I'm like I don't want nobody around me. I don't want nobody near me, because I just want to be safe for him. Like it got me thinking, like, should I get the vaccine? Because I don't want to come near my grandfather and get him sick again all over again, because he's elderly. And so when it's someone that you love, like genuinely love, it's a whole different type of hurt. Okay, like even though I had family that got COVID, it didn't hit home like with my grandpa. I like to see my grandpa as like the hero. I like to see my grandpa as healthy. So like to see him not be able to be himself, and that like he's not a very like talkative person, but when he talks. And for him not to be able to talk the way he wants to, I know like from my grandma that hurt, for me it hurt, because like for years I was the baby of the family. So like, and now my son he was a baby of the family. Now they have other kids. But to see my grandfather like in that state of mind, and it hurts because I can't like my son can't talk to him, and because I don't want him to see I don't want my son to see him like that, because my son is the type who'll jump on my grandfather, he won't play, he will do this, and I don't want my grandpa to be so overwhelmed, because like they say my grandpa's heart rate went up, and I feel like if he saw my son cry or he saw grandma cry again, his heart rate would go up again. And I just hope that my grandfather's okay in here. I'm just trusting the doctors and the nurses to like actually fulfill what God had put on them to do, and it's to bring my grandfather back from COVID and all the other stuff. So in this day and time, you just take the proper precautions, because we've been at this almost 2 years and they still haven't found a genuine cure. I feel like you need to wash your hands. Don't touch your face after you touch something, because some fact you don't know what's on your hands. Your hands is like one of the most dirtiest things on your body. So I feel like you need to take the precautions and not touch your body. Wear your mask. If you got to double up on mask, do that too. Frequently asked questions of COVID. How do you get COVID? Some people's symptoms don't last as long as others. Like I feel like for me, symptoms probably last longer, because when I get like sick or get like a cold, it takes a long time for me to get rid of like the sickness. Other frequently asked questions: how to make sure that you stay healthy, drink lots of fluids. Like a few signs of COVID: hard to breathe, pain in your chest, inability to like stay awake. Which vaccine would I get? Pfizer or something? I recently I'll get that vaccine, because I just feel more comfortable. It's been out longer. It's FDA approved. If I had to get a vaccine, that's the one I would get personally. This is the vaccine do. It really just makes your body create an immune response. So basically, your body is learning to fight off like COVID-19. Make sure to wear a mask in public. I don't care if you're going to your family's house and wear a mask in public, because you just don't want nobody to contract it. Thanks for coming and watching this video. You honestly know my grandfather, he's a fighter. So I feel like he's just gonna fight. I really made this video because I want him to look at this video in a year from now and see that he made it, he fought COVID. And I just want you to know, Papa, I love you, and you're gonna make it through this. And comment down below if you know anyone that has fought COVID, or if you're fighting COVID, or like any ideas on just how to get better with your friends. Comment like something to lighten up the mood for my family, or anyone that's facing COVID-related issues right now. And like this video. And I feel like you're like me as I'm becoming more myself. So subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell, because we're family. You're my family, I'm your family. Like, we're just lit over here, but it's her not even no way in this song. Ooh, that's some big period. But bye guys.